you, and thank you so much for inviting me both here and to the Red Cross meeting. It was very interesting also for me, as this is a big topic that I'm also on a learning journey on. But I'm Katrine, and I have a background from working with digitalization for more than 20 years in different companies. Now I just went on my own, and my plan is, at least for now, to be available as an innovation leader for companies and also a sustainability advisor. And so this is my early start on that.
Your very first Teams meeting.
Sorry?
Your very first Teams meeting.
Actually, no, not the first Teams meeting, but it's actually the first time that I share a presentation from this Mac. So it's still early days. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I think we all know that we are in deep shit. We are using too much of the Earth's resources, and we're doing that too fast, and we have to change. And I'm here today to tell you that people like us who have digital competency, who work with digital products, the world desperately need people like us now moving forward if we are going to stop this dramatic climate change which is happening. And just really briefly to mention that how we extract and process raw materials from the world is responsible for 90% of biodiversity loss, 90% of water-related issues, 50% of climate emissions, and 33% of health-related issues from emissions. So we really cannot go on like we have been doing for the last centuries. We have to move from the take, make, waste consumption that we have been used to now for centuries, and move into a more circular economy. And what that means is that we have to make sure that the resources that we take out from the earth, it could be coal, it could be soil, it could be plastics, you name it. We have to make sure that that the resources can be used more productively, more creatively, and that they can be in use longer. And at the same time that we can put resources back into nature. And this all requires a major shift in both us, how we consume things as private individuals, but also how companies go about their business and how municipalities organize their communities. So this is a huge shift that needs to happen. And digital solution is not the only part of the only solution, but it's an important part of making this possible. Well, this is a huge thing, and it could feel like it's not possible. It's too big. I cannot do anything. My company cannot do anything. But that just isn't good enough, because this is happening, and all parts of society need to do their part of the work. So to break this up a little bit, there's this person from the Norwegian, or from BI in Oslo, who it's the Business Institute in Oslo, has made this green growth model that I find quite useful for companies to at least start on their sustainability journey, or to see how they can start. You could say, as you move up this ladder, the complexity becomes bigger, and the shift in the organization is more substantial, but the impact is also much bigger. And where many companies have started already, and this I would say started a few years ago, is with what is here called outreach. And that's about, as a company, that you support initiatives outside your own company. It could be, for example, cleaning the beach initiatives. It could be clothes resales, marketplaces, or whatever, but that you help other good initiatives to grow. So that could be a first step, and then of course you can talk about it and inspire others to do the same. But here you also have to be careful to not only do what we call greenwashing, and it's better to also move up the ladder. And the next level is what they call house cleaning, which is it together. It could be how you manage waste in your company, that you ensure that you don't have too much food waste, how you produce paper, and so on. The next is the procurement part, looking at what kind of vendors do you have, what requirements do you put on your vendors, what kind of products do you buy to your company, what kind of requirements do you put on that. And then the next level again is your operations. How do you produce your goods? How do you operate your offices? It could be yes. So how much energy do you use to in your operations? What kind of raw materials? If you're producing physical products, how do you put those together? And of course, since this is a digital group, what kind of footprint do your IT platform have, or your whole IT landscape? And then the next level would be your own product portfolio. How sustainable is the product portfolio, and do we have products that are produced in a way that are not sustainable? In that case, look at how can we get rid of these products, replace with other product. And then the top level, traditional business models where you sell your goods, they're used and then go to waste, into more sustainable business models. For example, sharing models, renting models, and so on. So the most usual is to start with the at the bottom of the ladder, but you can also go and start with the operations, or even looking at your products already. So there's different ways to go about it. And what I'm going to focus on from now is the upper end of the ladder, and the circular product model, or how we can make sure that we have a more circular economy. And it actually starts all in where you design your product. Products should be designed in a way that they can live longer, that they can be decomposed, put into different use when they're when the first owner wants to get rid of it, that it still has a life. So it's it starts with how the product is actually designed. And then it's about the function of the product. How does it have several purposes? Can it be used for several things? how can we ensure that the product has a longer life? It could be by being sold to a new person. It could be by applying rental models that ensure that more people can use the same product to prolong the time that's actually in use before it goes to end of life. And then when it goes to end of life, what happens then? Can the product be decomposed? Can the materials be recycled and regenerated into new products? And the circular model that I think that most people are most aware of is the recycle. At least here in Norway, I think we're best in the whole world when it comes to recycling plastic bottles, which is great. Recycling textiles is also a good thing, but even better is if the products or the materials don't really need to be recycled, but that they can only be repurposed, because the recycling process in itself is actually a process of a lot of waste and complications. So it needs to start where you design your product. What kind of materials do you put into it? What kind of qualities do these materials have? So that you ensure the product can stay in life longer. Yeah, I was actually going to ask this, but now it's already here. So how circular are we today? According to a circularity gap report published in Norway in 2020, the world average is 8.6%. So 8.6% of the global economy is circular today, which is not much. In Norway, it's as bad as 2.4%. In Denmark, I've read that it's 3.8, so you're a little bit better, but nowhere near where it should be. The Netherlands are actually best in class with 24.5%, and they have the Dutch government have actively engaged in moving towards a circular economy. So they have put in place a lot of regulations that are moving the society forward. And then we're coming to the ReSolve framework that Janus has mentioned. This is a framework developed by McKinsey, which I would say is very useful in identifying stages or dimensions in your or operations where you can move towards a more circular, more sustainable way of doing. And if you look at the first step here, or the first pillar, regenerate, that's about making sure that that what we take out of the world can come back to the world and stay in use longer. It's also about making sure that while producing, we don't do too much harm to nature. And in what way can digital solutions help in this respect? One thing is to ensure, let's say you're in agriculture and you are using fertilizers in your soil to produce, for example, cotton for clothes production. Then you can use data or you can use data and digital solutions to monitor what is the state of your soil. to ensure you don't use too much fertilizers, to ensure you don't use too much water, so that you don't make too much harm to your environment, the environment around you. The next pillar here is share. Looking at can you apply sharing models with the product or the operation that you have. Examples here are, of course, car sharing models. It's housing sharing like Airbnb and so on. And then the next level or the next pillar is optimize. And this is about ensuring that you know what you're actually doing. You have the data and insight that you need in order to ensure that you don't, for example, produce more than the market is going to buy. I'll keep that. But then the next again is loop, which is about making sure that the product is put into new use when you're done with it. And that could be either that it's sold to a new person. It could be that it's decomposed into into pieces and put together into new things, or that it's recycled altogether. Virtualize, that's about using digital tools and technologies to avoid sending or moving around in ways that are not necessary. For example, here that we have this talk online, and that's quite obvious. But other smart ways is to, for example, one big problem in the world we know is that people buy too much clothes. They return things that don't fit. You can use virtualization to help people to virtually try things on or test how it fits them, how the product fits in their living room, whatever, before they buy, so that you don't have to transport and return if it doesn't fit. So these are examples of how you can use virtualization to ensure a more sustainable business. And then lastly, exchange, which is about changing major components of the products, or changing major processes, like, for example, using 3D printing instead of sending parts, physical parts around the world. So this is a brief introduction to the McKinsey framework, which at least I find very useful when it comes to looking for opportunities to change the business model that you are applying today. So what I was thinking to do now is just look at some examples. Okay, what happened?
With seeing a calendar. There we go.
Okay. Yes. So let's see if this works. So I've just picked a few problems that I think most of us can recognize, or at least are aware of. So, for example, in Norway, only 40% of waste from buildings and construction is recycled into new materials. In what way could digital solutions help or decrease this problem? I don't know if we are able to have a discussion, but let's try. So this is a question to you, if you think of ways that digital solutions could help here.
All right, making sure somebody's still awake. Thank you, Katrine. I could pick on the birthday child, but Adam, do you want to come with a suggestion?
I mean, so am I even audible?
We can hear you, yeah.
Amazing. Well, so first of all, I would focus on traceability of materials produced, traceability built into to process cycles in the built environment. So these are big issues and involve a lot of stakeholders, and these things need to be inherent also in the systems used to communicate between stakeholders of these big systems, because things fall between the cracks. So, so to the extent that traceability of goods, and of course this goes especially for traceability of goods that do have a harmful effect or that has a carbon load or similar, are traceable and visible across that value chain, that will be a way, and that is in system design. So one other comment maybe would be, I would recommend reading an article I sent you recently, Janus,
Sure.
by and I forget her name, it'll be back. It's an Australian researcher who also looked into, well, how do we use digital, amongst other things, to design systems that do not have a load in itself, that do not add and contribute to the load by complicating procedures, complicating communications, because these things also weigh in as well. That's my opinion.
Cool, very good. Thank you, Adam. Amazing.
Good, right? Yes. So I don't think I need to add to that one. I think you're the expert here, but I just pulled in one example. Sorry, what happens? So this is a company that is a startup that I'm aware of that are mapping, or they've put together a digital platform that makes it possible to map available materials, or materials that might go to waste, so that it can be findable and available for municipalities, building developers, contractors, architects, and so on. So this is one example of how digital solutions can be part of the solution, but it's complex. So this is just one part, but it's an example. And then this one, yeah. Whales are killed by ships, as much as 20,000 each year, and I don't know if people care about whales, but in general, the biodiversity is critical for the stabilizing the climate, actually. So it is a problem. And do you have any thoughts on in what way digital solutions could help to solve this problem?
Anybody else wants to volunteer like Adam did? Lucas, do you want to jump in? How could digital help the whales?
I'm not a whale expert, but I can imagine that digitalization could help us maybe optimize. If I refer back to the chain of McKinsey, maybe optimize shipping routes where we could live track some kind of whale density or whale activity, waters where whales are popular. Popular routes for whales that ships can navigate around that. I can imagine this could be in a direction.
You passed.
Exactly.
Very good.
That's perfect. Yes. So there's something. The World Wildlife Fund, they came out with a report where they take initiative to protect what they call blue corridors, which is where they know that mammals migrate. And this is based on data, knowing where the mammals migrate. Another initiative, and this is something that I don't remember the whole name of them, but the Møller-Mærsk Foundation in Denmark are looking at is applying green corridors, which is about implementing zero carbon shipping lanes, which also will help to protect the ocean life. And one client that I've been working quite a lot with myself over some years are doing something quite amazing. They're collecting ocean data from science, from industries, from shipping companies to understand both how ships move, how human activity influence the ocean in different geographical locations, and how that match with the ocean life, and then use this to identify routes that should be recommended, areas that should be protected, and so on. So this is a major area where having data and smart digital solutions can actually help to solve a critical problem today.
Very good, Katrine. We're coming up on the last 2 minutes, so
Yes.
you can go on returns. That's the last one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one. Yes. So what do you think about returns? How could digital solutions or data help to avoid all these returns?
I think you already said it, didn't you? Or was it just me that heard what I wanted to hear?
Yeah. Yes. So this is also an example, using AI to help consumers take measures so that they can virtually try the clothes on before they order, and then avoid that they get things that don't fit and they return. So that's also one example.
Perfect. We normally have a participant who's joining us from the closet. Olivia, did you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say something as an expert of fast fashion. I think, first of all, sometimes it would help to tell people that this thing that they want to try on is somewhere else. They can find it maybe more locally, so that we can avoid transporting stuff, creating stuff, maybe stuff that is only okay. I think that is a bigger discussion. I guess there's some areas where you can only help with stricter regulations, like forbidding stuff or stuff like that, like sugar in drinks and stuff like that. But especially with fashion, I personally think that sometimes for certain special fashion things that is changing fast, people need to think about their own consumption, and rather invest into, let's say, longer goods. That's why I'm wearing always the same shirt. So, but that's my 5 cents. So I think digital could help by not working. Sometimes a shop that doesn't work you can't shop. So, but that's more like a humoristic approach.
That's true, and I completely agree with you. But I still think that people are going to have new things. They need to buy less, but still people will sometimes buy new things, or even secondhand things. And then also helping to ensure that what they buy is actually what they need, I think will also help.
That's a big discussion.
Yes, so I think that was my 30 minutes. It was, I'm sorry that I was not able to see you, so I hope it was still interesting.
It was very much spot on. Thank you for taking us through the ReSOLVE framework. Thank you for sharing so many excellent examples. Thanks for making us think more about the circular economy. And we'll certainly keep this conversation going. Thank you, Katrine.
Thank you for inviting me and for listening. Bye.